welcome to another episode of Tesseract Talks, the place where we put the spotlight on tech trends, startups, and VCs. My name is Marko. I'm the founder and CEO of Tesseract Analytics, and it is my pleasure today to have Jordan Morrow as our guest. He's an owner and founder at Bodhi Data, Senior Vice President of Data and AI Transformation at Agile One, a keynote speaker on data literacy, and an author of 4 books on data. Jordan, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing super well. Thank you for having me, Marko.
Great. Well, before we dig into the questions and your books, tell us about your career. Take us chronologically from the beginning. How and when did you become so passionate about data?
So my background, if we go all the way back to university, I'm a mathematics guy since I was a kid. I love mathematics. So that's a nice, easy transfer into bringing data to life with analytics. And so I started my career at American Express. I'm a bit older now. You can see all the white hair in my beard. But when I started at American Express, it wasn't long after when the big housing financial crash occurred in the US and around the world. And not long after that, I started doing analytics on delinquency rates and write-off rates for American Express, which, as you can imagine, from that crash were impacted greatly. That got me more into coding, got me more into analytics, and then I just kept going. Now, I was at American Express for quite a number of years, and I was also at university going to school to be a math teacher originally. So I love to teach, and learning is super important to me. So I trained everybody on analytics that we were building at American Express, and I started to generate an idea about like teaching basic statistics and analytics to people. Little did I know that that would take me where it has with data literacy. I got hired by Click to be product agnostic and be an entrepreneur basically and help pioneer the entire space of data literacy in 2016. Started to grow my chops as like a chief data officer as that has continued. And then obviously a natural progression into AI to where I am today. I own my own company where I write my books, I speak, I travel the world, and then I drive AI initiatives and strategy.
Wow, great journey so far. Now,
Thanks.
you've written 4 books so far. Be Data Literate, Be Data Driven, Be Data Analytical, and Business 101 for the Data Professional. Let's briefly dig into each one of those and see what are the key takeaways for companies and individuals. So let's start with, what does it mean to be data literate today?
So the key for me with data literacy is I want everybody to understand they're already data literate. They just don't know it. Meaning, like, here's my smartphone. If I'm traveling abroad, I'm going to look at the weather app to see what the weather is going to be where I'm traveling so I can pack accordingly. That's a data-driven decision. We just don't call it that. So data literacy, by definition, is the ability to read, work with, analyze, and communicate with data. Essentially, for non-data professionals, how do you gain confidence with data? And in the world we live in today, everybody has data. It's just a matter of, can you confidently utilize it, knowing that you have a seat at the table and that you don't have to be a data scientist? So can we empower everybody to use data?
Okay. And that covers like all of your books, or like that's the
first one. Yeah, let me dive in. So if you would have ever asked me if I would have thought I'd be an author of 4 books, and I'm writing book 5 right now, I probably would have said no way. But so the first book is all around be data literate. And let me give a little more anecdotal story on that. After it came out, I was running on a trail here in the mountains of Utah where I live, and someone I knew came up, congratulated me on the book, and was like, I'm probably too stupid to read it. And I'm like, you're missing the entire point, right? As this is not a technical book. There are plenty of technical books out there. This is for everyone to develop confidence. Well, then fast forward and the pandemic hits, right? My first book came out I started writing it right before the world shut down. So it comes out in 2021. At that time, the phrase data driven became more and more popular. So I said, all right, well, let's write a book on what this means. And that's book 2. It's Be Data Driven, more targeted towards, I would say, leaders of organizations. What does it really mean to be data driven? Then fast forward, and I took a little snippet, you could say, of the definition of data literacy, which is the analyzing data, for Be Data Analytical. And how can we teach people to do analytics if their background isn't in coding, if it isn't in statistics? It doesn't have to be. And so Be Data Analytical should empower everybody with more confidence in analyzing data. And as we've grown with AI can actually do a lot of the analysis for us. It then becomes incumbent on us to critically think and then make decisions and be able to do that. And then finally, book number 4 was almost the reverse of book number 1. So data literacy is for the masses. And if you have an organization, let's say of 10,000 people, 800, 9,900 are not data professionals. It's a small group of people. And so that's the data literacy. Well, what about business literacy for the data professional? And that's what book 4 is. It's business 101 for the data professional. We see out in the world today, data professionals not being as successful as they should be. And it's not because they're not really proficient and good at their data skills. It's because they weren't trained up on how do you apply that to the business, right? Do they know what EBITDA is? Do they know what cash flow means? Do they know business goals and all of this stuff? So hopefully that 4th book teaches the data professional, how do you harness data to drive business value? And that's really what that book is centered on.
I'm sure the audience will check out your books for more valuable insights. So recently, Forbes published an article, The Dark Side of AI, tracking the decline of human cognitive skills. And also Microsoft had a paper covering the impact of generative AI on critical thinking. What are your thoughts on it, and how can we fight against this trend?
It worries me greatly, Marko. So within data literacy, years ago, I created what I call my 3 C's of data literacy: curiosity, creativity, critical thinking. And those 3 C's are all going to be human focused. Now, I'm writing my 5th book, and it's around data and AI and the human element. So IQ, our intelligence, human intelligence, and EQ, which is our emotional intelligence. The problem is, and I agree completely with what is written, if we start to over rely on AI to make so many decisions for us, just like going to the gym. Prior to recording, we were talking about working out a little bit. And when you stop working out, I love working out. I cherish it. It is my personal time. But what happens when you stop working out? It takes a long time to build the muscle. Doesn't take too long to start to feel like you're losing it. And it is the same thing with what we're going to call our cognitive muscles. I use AI quite regularly. In fact, I used it this morning. It's only 7:20 a.m. where I am, and I've already used it. The problem is when we over rely on it and we just say, AI gave me this answer, everything is great, and we don't flex our critical thinking muscles, we are going to lose that critical thinking skill. So when we think about generative AI and AI solutions, I build these. It needs to be human centered, meaning the AI should augment the person, not supersede them. So it's taking the AI. Now, that being said, there are certain topics, obviously, I don't have knowledge on. I'm going to allow the AI to teach me, but I'm going to partner with it versus just take what it says at face value. I need to make it my own. And so I think to combat this, leaders and organizations need to do a very good job of allowing free time for the employee to critically think, to be curious, and to be creative. If leaders don't do that, then people are just going to rely on it. They might misuse data. And I'm going to put a word of caution. We've heard the term hallucinations with generative AI. I don't fear them, right? And the reason for that is, do you know what hallucinates with data more than AI? Humans. Humans misuse data all the time. I just think hallucinations give people something to attack with the AI, whether out of fear, defensiveness, versus allowing the hallucination to teach us. The model's not working very well here. Maybe I need to train it differently. Ooh, that gave me something. Did I evaluate that response to even see if it's real? So for me, I want AI to make us more human. Allow it to be our partner, a tool that strengthens us. I want that tool to then be a partner. I call it like the internet. The internet had a lot of hype when the internet came out, a lot of buzz and everything. And there were things that failed, but the power of it was there. I think for people to truly succeed, we got to bring the human to it. In fact, the World Economic Forum, if you look at the I think it's the top fastest growing skills by 2030, 7 or 8 of the top 10 are human related, not tech related. And I find that very, very interesting because the tech is going to continue to do tasks for us. How do we apply it as humans?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, critical thinking will become, like, as you said, the most valuable skill, I would say, in the work environment. But definitely a a topic we should all pay more attention to as the tech develops. So you already briefly mentioned, but what projects are you currently working on? And also, how can people reach out to you if they want to talk or potentially have you as a speaker at their event?
LinkedIn I am very much an open book. I did an event, I think just yesterday, and I'm already mentoring someone from the event because I always offer it up. Pretty much. Now, always might be hyperbole, but I offer it up often. So people can connect with me on LinkedIn, ask me any questions. Very easy to get a hold of me there. But as far as work stuff that I'm focused on, it's really learning how AI can solve use cases, right? AI has been around for a long time. And everybody who listens to this, I want them to realize the term was coined all the way back in 1956. It's been around a while. This is not new. Generative AI and the consumption is what is new. And so I've got a couple data scientists as we work on predictive modeling. Well, that's not new. That's been around. That's a project we're working on. I'm working on building internal large language models at my company. We use a tool called Abacus AI. Very powerful, very secure. We build our own. And then personally, I love learning. Like here's a book I'm reading by Eric Qualman called The Focus Project. I think we live in a very distracted world. And so I like to focus, prioritize, and really hit home on what's going to give me the life that I want. So studying AI and learning the math behind it, learning different topics, the ethics of it. There's a book that's going to be arriving from a different author it's around AI ethics. Noel Russell, I recommend it for people. She just published it. I think ethics is going to be a big part of this. So part of my world is truly just studying and learning. I'm a morning person. I've got 5 kids. As the day gets going, it's hard. So just this morning, I put my puppy in the car with me and I go for drives and I'll listen to a podcast, I'll listen to books, or I sit on the couch and I journal and I read. That is my sacred time to develop. And so I'd encourage everybody, create your own special time.
And in the special time, we can develop that critical thinking.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jordan, for sharing your story and all the valuable insights. That was all for today. So wishing you and our audience all the best until next episode. And Jordan, hopefully see you in London in a couple of months when you'll come next time.
Absolutely. We'll go get lunch or a beer on me.
Great. Thank you. Bye.